Welcome to the Dixie Doggers podcast. We're here to share knowledge and heritage. We hope y'all enjoy. Southern Cross. It's the best cut gear in the business. We run it on our dogs. Hit up Dave Williams at Southern Cross Cut Gear. Go to www.hogdoggear.com. If you're looking for Brahma and Brahma Cross cattle, Marc Rankin with the Rankin Ranch 38 Cattle Company, he specializes in them. He is the man for the job. He's based out of Oglethorpe County, Georgia, and you can contact him at 407-832-2077.
If you're buying or selling land, farms, or hunting property, these folks know land. Phil Wilson with UC Hunting Properties, 678-791-3483.
All right, everybody. We're here again. We're doing another one. We're going to keep on talking shit with whoever will talk some shit with us. And luckily today I found one of the shit talkers of the South. His name is Case. And I met this guy in person finally, and I was not disappointed. So he could definitely talk some shit with me. I like it. So I got him on the horn with us tonight. So Case, how you doing, amigo?
Good. How are you, sir?
Doing absolutely wonderful. Outstanding. Doing better than you are. You're out there freezing your tits off right now.
Yeah, I'm about ready for some sleep.
I bet. Y'all been running hard?
Started at 12 o'clock last night, and it's, what time is it now? 3:10, and we just finished. Gonna nap for an hour, then start again.
Hell yeah. That's the way you win.
Or way you don't ever want to win again. It's miserable right now, but we're just coming up to keep hunting.
There you go. Well, for all our listeners out there in the hog world, the hog dogging world, and well, just the dog hunting world in general, introduce yourself. Tell them who you are, what you do, where you're from, and all that good stuff, and maybe a little history or backstory on how you got into this.
Yes, sir. Well, yeah, I'm Case Frieda. I'm from South Texas, south of San Antonio, close to Hondo. I manage a ranch down here, and then I do predator control for other ranches that really try to work on their deer and quail populations. Never had enough money to really do much deer hunting. I was always the guide or stuff like that, and I realized I liked hunting more than I could afford at a very young age, so I got good at hunting stuff that nobody else wanted, and that was hogs and coyotes and bobcats. And best thing you can do is hunt it with a dog. It makes it 10 times more fun, and it's a lot more efficient when you have a few more tools in your toolbox.
Right on. What got you into the dog hunting stuff, Case?
One of those messed up things. I don't know. I was just hooked at a young age. My dad was a government trapper, and he's a hunter. He's a killer, but we ran hog dogs when I was really young, probably 4, 5, 6, and he did it for killing hogs and for work, and me, I did it for the dog. And so I just saw dogs at a young age, and it grabbed me, and I went from, hey, I want to kill hogs, or I want to kill this, to I want to see a dog work. And all I thought about was, how can I get better dogs? How can I hunt this with a dog? How can I hunt anything that's legal with a dog? If you tell me to go dove hunting, well, I'm going to take a dog with me. If I'm going to go chase coyotes, I'm going to have a dog with me. If I'm going to be working on the ranch and I see a coon run across the road, I ain't going to shoot. I'm going to dump a dog on him.
Yeah. That sounds like Uncle Pat. Uncle Pat said he don't even hunt Easter eggs without his dog.
Exactly. I'm not much for hunting unless there's a dog involved. Right. That's pretty much all I do. I got a dog with me 24/7.
Yeah. I seen some of your dogs when we were out there at Rusty's in Oklahoma, and I will say that those dogs I seen, they're fine looking animals. They performed really good, and they had a really good handle on them.
Yes, sir. Those are the I have them with me all the time. And like I said, when we hunt, I'm not dragging hogs. And a lot of times I send Nate pictures. Our brush is so thick that I'll sit there and either bust a bay, or I'll call them off and let the hog run for 10, 15 minutes and then turn the dogs back on them so that I can catch them in the spot that I want them. And then like those Lacey's that I have, they're just, I wouldn't call them the best hog dog, but they're about as good as you can get for just trashy catch everything dog. Like I put them on coyotes, I put them on coons, put them on hogs, but they're with me, and they have probably a better handle just because they're with me all day, every day, and they get to catch a lot of game.
Yeah, they were really good looking dogs. Like I said, the build and everything, and which are they full blooded Lacey's, or were they Lacey crosses? I couldn't remember.
That big blocky headed dog, he's Catahoula Lacey and Ridgeback.
Yeah,
and then I had 2 full blood blue Lacey's that were there also.
Yeah, I knew there was a couple. That's why I couldn't remember if all of them were. Now that one was kind of he was a leopard colored, wasn't he? Like spotted up.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
That big old blockhead one. That's a good looking son of a bitch too, boy.
And he actually was an excellent hog dog. He just doesn't quite have what I want. He was doing really, really good when he was about 2.5 years old. He caught a hog by himself, and it was a little bit more than what he wanted, and the hog bit one of his toes off. And ever since then,
yeah, I've seen that.
He's a bay dog now.
Yeah, I remember that the dog that didn't have the toe.
Yes, sir.
So what other dogs do you run besides those Lacey style dogs?
The Lacey style dogs I usually use they're like short range, just catch them quick, and they don't get hot style of dog. And then what I really like, I mean, you can catch more hogs with short range gritty dogs, but to me that's not what I'm looking for in dog work. So like my other dogs are cur running walker crosses or Catahoula running walker crosses. I like to have more of I put the running walker in there, not really for speed, but more for like the radiator. I don't want them to get hot. Like if you want to get one of them, I don't like hunting at nighttime. I like hunting summertime, 105 in the middle of the day. And you can really push one out like that. I like a dog that if you want to get them hot, you better put them in the oven. They can just go in the heat. And so my dogs shine in the heat. Like right now we're hunting and it's 30 degrees and they're not performing the way I particularly like, but they're purpose bred for hunting summer, 105 plus, and you can hunt them all day like that.
That's cool.
Hell yeah.
That's pretty slick. So now you also have some coyote dogs, right?
Yes, sir. Actually, you helped me out a lot with that, and I met your buddy Mike Sapp. He's actually helped me out a lot, and then I got with a couple really well-known coyote guys around here, and it's just something new. For work, I have to catch and kill a lot of coyotes, and like I said, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to have a dog doing it. So that was something that no one else in my area does, and it gives me an opportunity to kind of, I'm selfish about it. I want to lock down all the country, and I want to be the only one hunting. I'll show anybody something, but
yeah,
I dang sure will jump on it. If nobody else wants to do it, I'll do it just because our conditions are so dry. It's really, really hard to run a coyote, and I'm learning that now because it's funny. You'll see one cross the road, and the dogs just can't do anything, and then you'll trail one that's 5 hours old, and they can run it like it was 30 seconds old.
That to me is it's pretty wild because, like, okay, we have a lot of humidity, and so with the moisture, we can stick a track pretty good. But if something runs across the road in front, say a hog runs across the road in front of us, or a coyote, which it doesn't matter what you're running, it's kind of the same thing. The dogs have a real hard time picking it up. But if you'll go down the road, say 30 minutes to an hour, and come back, they run it a lot better. And but now after 5 or 6 hours, it's really hard for them to pick it up for the dogs that we're running. It's crazy.
Yeah, well, and here most of the people, Austin has hound in his stuff. I have hound in my stuff. Most of the style of dog I like here, I like hound in it. And yeah, they're not as fast as a cur dog when you just put them on an open race. And when conditions are good, it's hard to beat just a straight cur dog. So really, in a set of dogs, I want some from full-blooded all the way to 3/4 hound mixtures, because they're going to shine depending on how long the race is and the conditions, right? So we have to have the hound, because even today you'll dogs trailed bay up a hog at do dang good job and go like that, but when they get them jumped, you think, oh hey, this is done. And it's like the hogs, coyotes, everything, it's, if the conditions are right, they can just disappear, and you can tell if it rains, you'll have my running dogs will have, I'm not going to say they're 20-mile-an-hour dogs, but they're 15. And if we get a light drizzle, they'll be smoking a track. But right now, it's even just pushing one where they have a hog jump, like they saw him and bait and he broke and he's right in front of them. It makes it where they can't run the hog like they should. Like you'll notice, hey, we should be catching this hog, or I have a fast dog. Well, you can't really blame a dog here because the conditions, if you had an eighth of an inch of rain or a drizzle, they'd be smoking it. And then now they just can't really push them hard enough to make that hog get hot and run.
Huh. That's pretty interesting. And
like if our bulldogs miss, you're almost never going to catch the hog again, just because it's like they just disappear into thin air. They'll go and they'll squat on you. Like right today, that happened to us 4 or 5 times. We could not catch them, and we walked the bulldog to 10 feet, and the bulldogs missed, and the hog just disappeared.
Wow. But now when you're doing it like that, is it because the brush is so thick? Is that why the bulldogs miss, or was it does the hog moving?
It's so.
I mean, it happens. It happens to everybody.
I don't know if I used to have some really good bulldogs, and I was younger, and I would just dump them at 200 yards, and it seemed like they hardly ever missed.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I don't know how I got bulldogs that were like that, but I've been struggling here lately, and but I lead them in close when you can, just because. I want to be right there on them, and I want to see what we're doing. And we're calling the dogs off if it's a small hog. We'll leave him, and we won't waste the dogs anymore. And you just have a better idea of what you're getting into. You can set your hog up, because what we're doing is we're walking in, and you can't really see him, but we're 30 yards away or 15 yards away, and we let him go. And it's just so thick when the bulldog can't run and hit him. The bulldog still look at him, because, if our dogs, like they be really tight if it's wide open, but if there's right now we're hunting cactus, it's 10 foot tall and a 20 foot diameter, like circumference, and you can't see more than 2 or 3 feet. And so if a dog gets in there, he's either going to get killed or he's going to bust that hog out. So what happens when a bulldog goes in there and hits? He hits, and some spiky stuff hits him all over his whole body, and then he doesn't know if it's another hog, and that hog just has to bounce 1 or 2 times or hear him hit that cactus, and he just blows out of there. And he has hooves, so nothing hurts his feet. He just pushes through and bulldozes through, and the dogs can't keep up. And he'll run, and then he'll squat in another one. And when a dog gets there, he'll blow out, hit one dog, and then go again.
Damn, that's pretty rough. There sounds like it can make for a very interesting day.
Yes.
Oh, it's very, very interesting, but it's fun, and you never know what you're going to catch. And it makes for good dogs. The hardest thing about our bulldogs too is if you get a really good one, if they just go, you got to have a special kind of dog, or like the right kind of bulldog, because if they just go in there as fast as they can, they don't last very long. Not because they're getting cut down, but I lose dogs because cactus is going in their eye and they get where they can't see anymore.
I don't like that.
No, that does not sound fun.
Never had to hunt around any like cactus or anything like that here. I don't guess we've hunted around cactus anywhere as far as like with hogs or hog hunting. I could definitely see where that would be posed to be a problem. Well, not just that. Like I know, like when we talked to Austin and stuff, he was talking about everything down there. Like there's thorns and stickers on everything that's alive.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
It's ridiculous. So I could, and I've been in that area before. We've went down there and deer hunted. I think I killed a couple of hogs down there, some javelina, just on one of them buddy hunts, but we didn't run dogs. But I do know one thing, like wherever your shot placement had to be on point, because if it wasn't dropped into Sendero, if it went in the brush, you might as well write that thing off.
Yes, sir.
That's so damn thick.
Oh yeah, no, that's where, I do blood trailing dogs also, and most of it's for people that can't find their deer. They're paying me to go in there and drag it out for them because they don't want to go in the brush.
Damn.
Most of them are lethal. They're either horrible shots or they're lethal shots, and they just don't want to go in the brush. So yeah, everything down here, it's kind of cliche-ish, but everything down here pokes you or sticks you.
Yeah.
But it's hard on dogs, and it's hard on people too, but at the end of the day, you feel like you did something. And there's very good hogs down here, because I'm glad that if it's a little harder, if it was easier, then we probably have a few more hog hunters than what we do.
Yeah. without a doubt. What's the weirdest injury that you've seen on man or animal down there?
Hog hunting or
Yeah.
just in general?
Well, let's say hog hunting and just in general too. Well, I like to hear weird shit.
Injury.
What, like you said, with all the cactus and all those things that stick or poke you, I figured somebody would have had something stuck in their nuts or something.
Oh yeah, that's like a once a week thing. But that's not crazy down here because I mean, with the cactus, I'll send you a picture of our dogs. We just finished hunting them, and I bet you there's nothing shy of 200 to 300 cactus thorns sticking out of them right now.
My dogs would probably be crying to go to the house.
Yeah, they look like they got pimples all over them. It's just nothing but I mean, it's not too far away. If they get in bad cactus like what we're doing right now, it's not too far away from a porcupine, but they can chew them out. Like it's just all over them. And then when you get bulldogs, it's all over them. So that's what's hard on them. Like, I mean, it's not really an injury to us because it's normal.
Mm-hmm.
As far as injuries, I mean, the craziest thing I've probably seen with one of our dogs is I used to run just a plain Jane cut collars with a tracking collar, and I'd run it through one loop on there. Well, we bait up a hog, and I was running a young dog, and then everything went right there. It sounded like they were caught. We start running in there, and then a dog just started squealing, and this hog is running, and this dog sounds like it's dying. I'm like, what is going on? And we finally caught the hog probably 300, 400 yards later, and that hog had went to go cut the dog. Well, his tooth pulled that collar, the nameplate collar, over his head, and it was through his jaw. So he drugged that 8-month-old pup for 350 or 400 yards and drug him through a whole bunch of stuff and tore the dog up from drug him through black brush, cactus. And that dog, it took him a long time to come back. And it was just something different. I mean, it was a weird noise, weird situation. We didn't know what was going on. But that was one of the weirdest things.
That is
kind of like a dog squealing for 400 yards. Makes you think a hog picked him up and ran off with him.
Yeah, I get he did in a way. It was just around the collar. That's pretty bad, though.
Yeah, that sounds.
Yes, sir.
Terrible.
And then I think it was in y'all's first shankathon. I had one of my dogs fall down an abandoned well that no one knew was there.
Yeah. Now, have you ever had to deal with that before? Or is that the first time?
We'll be back after a quick break.
A quick thanks to supporters of the Dixie Doggers podcast: Southern Cross Cut Gear, UC Hunting Properties, Rankin Ranch 38 Cattle Company, Animal Housing Solutions, Boars N Broads, Ada Y Transport, Crockett Taxidermy and Processing.
We have a bunch of old hand-dug wells that no one really knows about on some of these ranches, but I've never had a dog fall into them. This one was completely covered, and I mean, he just fell straight through. Like the dog was in a race and then just fell out. I've never had that happen, but like our creeks, there's a bunch of crushed culverts, stuff like that. We don't really have any mines like y'all talk about or caves or anything.
Yeah.
It's straight brush country, so we don't really have to deal with just losing communication. If you lose communication here, it's either because they're too far or like the weirdest thing is like that well or like a culvert under a road.
Oh, shit. I've been talking about the whole Garmin deal and communication and all that stuff. So like what you said, y'all don't lose communication unless they're too far. What kind of distance are you getting tracking ability?
I use, what is it? The short orange, like 6-inch stubby one.
Yeah.
I usually get about 0.8 off and on, but if I lose them and it starts to time, I try to not lose communication for more than 5 minutes. And so I'll start driving towards them. But we're hunting properties are so big and there's so many roads. It's like, okay, well, hey, let's just go towards them and you can pick them up again.
Yeah.
And then, but I mean, a mile is about max. And I mean, some places it's 500 yards, but a mile is about max. But I mean, we use those. It's too big to keep on the truck, but the extender range or that hound
recovery.
One, yeah, I have one of those on my trailer, and I can usually, like here, I've gotten 25 miles out of it here before.
Damn. Well, see, that's one of the issues Like, talking to people from different places, like I've had some people, they're like, man, they get 3 or 4 miles pretty consistently. And then most people are getting about a mile, between 1 and 2 miles. We have to have at least a mile. Like our dogs are going to cast that far. They're going to cast 7/10 to 1 mile to hunt. And not now, if we go to a place that has a heavy population, plenty of hogs, we don't have to do it then, of course, because like we're going to get on top of them. But the issue that we're having is, like you were saying a while ago, if you got a good road system, you can cut them off. You can get closer. Well, a lot of our places we can't. So that it's been really frustrating for me. And then in the past week, I made a post about it, or made a couple of things on it. And man, there's a lot of people that are having the same. I mean, a lot. And of course, you got the few people out there, they're like, well, y'all need to update them. I'm like, man, not being a smart ass or nothing, but we already done that. That's the first thing we think of. If you think of it, we've thought of it. It's because we do this just like you do. It's a repetitive thing. We've changed antennas. We've checked connections. We've taken the handhelds apart. We've checked all the internal connections. We've swapped things around. We've done this, done that, and it still doesn't help. If you take the old DC-40s and I could get 3 miles, how come I can't get 3 miles out of the new ones? So I was just curious out there where you guys were at, that y'all could get. I figured y'all would pick up further than a mile or better. I figured y'all would probably get 3 or 4 miles, but.
Well, and our brush is so thick, it depends. Like, you can usually pick them up, but you'll pick them up and we pick them up and drop them a lot. Yeah. But I mean, it's a different style of hunting here, because the ranches are so big, or they're high fence, and even high fence, they'll blow through a high fence fast. Like I've never seen a high fence that it's kind of pointless to have it high fence. It'll keep deer in, but it's not going to keep hogs, and they blow through, and then it just screws you, because then you can't say, oh, hey, I didn't know I was where I was at. Yeah. They know you're not where you're supposed to be if the dog blows through there. So we have roads where we can get out in front of them. So like if you run rough dogs, I used to run real rough dogs, and that's why I kind of switched away from rough dogs, just because I couldn't keep on top of the dogs like I wanted to, and I couldn't keep the quality of dog hunting as often as I wanted to because of injury, and I'd lose them. And a rough dog, when they get out there and we won't catch a hog. Where I hunt close to my house, a mile is a short race. Yeah. Very short race. But I can stay within a mile very easily. And if it rains, like if I go to a place I know where it's super big, I'll go and I'll be like, okay, I'm going to go to a protein feeder. I'll dump a dog off there, let him trail, let him get about 200 yards away. And then I'll go to the next one about a mile down the road and then dump one dog there. And I'll have 6 dogs going, and I'll hunt 6,000 acres in an hour. And I'll have 6 or 7 bays going. And then if one gets thrown out, they'll suck to each other. And so you can hunt. Like, they're pretty much cast dogs, but our road systems are so good. I mean, our road systems are probably better than your county roads, because every ranch down here.
Oh, yeah, they're better. I promise you that. Anybody that's been here, they'll tell you that. These roads fucking suck, brother. I mean, they are horrible. Our county roads, they are bad.
So, like, the ranch that I manage, if it rains, I don't allow anybody on there unless it's me and I'm hunting. And we have a motor grader. So if I rut it up, I'm just like, all right, these roads are too rough. They're washboarded a little bit. I go through with a motor grader and blade them 30 foot wide and make them where you can run 60 down them if you want to.
No shit.
So you can, and it's, when all these ranches, they like quail hunting also. So you pretty much checkerboard or do curved roads. So you have to, I build roads just for quail hunting. So when you go to, because they don't want to have to walk 500 yards. They want to be able to go basically hunt 100-yard increments. So a lot of the ranches, like the good quail ranches, they have a road every 150 yards.
Wow.
So you don't have to go far, and you can get up with your dogs. So the dogs go and they got to hunt, but you can stay up with them. So if you lose communication over here, you're like, all right, well, hey, go check over here. And you can kind of just bounce around till you get communication.
That's pretty slick.
But yeah, if you have a bay dog, like a rough dog, you got to stay right with them. You can't hunt that many here. But and your dogs, the brush is so thick, no matter how good or how well everyone says their dog, my dog doesn't get cut. He's smart. He knows how to catch. Well, Show me a dog that can go catch a 250-pound boar with 2.5-inch teeth in brush where there's not room for another dog to catch him with him. And that hog's
Amen.
bigger and stronger than him. And if it's a big dog, he can't stand up straight because the brush is so thick and it's solid cactus. And that, I mean, you saw my dogs. All my dogs have cuts on their hind legs, stomach. That's not from running away from hog. That's from going and catching and another hog coming and hitting them, or they're caught and that hog rakes them up against the brush and just starts thrashing them and they use the brush to pull dogs off or get on top of them.
Now, how often do y'all run into that case with the I guess a rally? You know, like if the dogs are caught on a hog and another hog come in there and cut them up. Because we had that happen to us. We've only had it happen a couple of times ever, but like I know 2 times that it happened, and I lost almost my whole pack both times. Like it was bad. I didn't know if that happened very much to you guys or not.
It's kind of funny because there's Highway 90 cuts in, and if you go on Highway 90, I'm 15 miles from Hondo south. On the south side, it's black brush, flint rock hills, real thick brush, and not a single cedar tree. It's semi-desert. And then you go north 15 miles, and it goes into, like, I don't know what like white rock hills and stuff. Some people down here call them mountains, but they're not mountains. They're just hills, and there's cedars and oak thickets. It seems like the hogs and the rocks are a lot meaner, and you have it a lot worse up there. Like, that's where I kill hogs there that are 100 pounds and they got 4-inch teeth.
Ooh.
And they're mean. Like, they will come look for the dog if you bang them up. There they will, but if you go to a farm field here, the hogs aren't mean. They're so young, they're kind of soft. In most places where I hunt, not all over, but it changes with 30 miles in every direction. It's like if I go one way, I get big hogs with small teeth. If I go the other way, it's small hogs with big teeth. And then you go towards Austin, like southwest, a lot of your boars, you can get really big boars with good teeth. And almost every boar you catch is going to have 3 inches. But it's a huge sow is 120 pounds. That's a huge sow.
Damn. We have some really big sows. I will say that. 300. You know, I'm not going to say it's not super common, but you catch them a couple times a year, 250 and up on just sows, you know?
Yeah. I probably caught 15 sows over 250 in my life.
Wow. And you've caught probably 100,000 pigs.
And I used to gun out of the helicopter a lot and then run dogs under the helicopter. So there was a lot of years I was killing 15. I think my best year that I kept count, and this is not with dogs, but it was like 15,000 pigs I killed in one year, something pretty close to that, because I gunned for the helicopter 4 days a week, and then I ran dogs under a helicopter. And so that's just why I was like, how many hogs are we actually killing? Because I wanted to see if it was making a difference.
Yeah.
And after about 4 years, it made a little bit of a difference, but now the helicopters are almost obsolete in certain areas because they get in thick brush and they know not to move.
Yeah, they just kind of squat.
Just don't move. And of all those hogs, what I was getting is all those hogs that I've killed, like even out of the helicopter, I still don't know. I don't think I've ever weighed a sow like that. I've killed several that I think would have been close, but the biggest sow I've ever weighed was 290.
Really?
And she was eating cold potatoes from Frito-Lay. The guy had stalker cattle, and she was sitting on potatoes, like a mountain of potatoes, and we caught her in rotten potatoes.
Damn. I caught one. Man, it's been, I don't know. It's been many, many years ago. We were over at Tim Harrington's, Nate. Mm-hmm. It's the one that he had actually, and I had to back up on that because he had shot it. That's what it was. He actually had shot it in the ass with a crossbow. Yep. And now keep in mind, there was a group of pigs out. This guy was a phenomenal hunter, and he was not shooting at the biggest hog because he thought it was a big boar hog. And he was really shooting a lot further than he probably should have been. He was like, I'm just going to pick one of them little shoats out there and pop it, and we'll cook it at the camp. Well, when he shot the biggest hog, either stepped forward or turned or something. Anyway, he hit it in the hind quarter. I mean, right in the ass. and it went down in the creek bed. And he called me. We had just got to camp. He was like, "Hey, bring the dogs over here. We'll track this hog." I was like, "Dude, if you hit it good, it'll probably be dead, blah, blah." He's like, "No, I don't think I hit it." He said, "It actually went down in the creek." He said, "I don't think it really went nowhere." And we got down there, and it was the biggest damn sow I have ever seen. Well, they carried it to a processor that we had to dispatch it, and it took all of us to load it up. They carried it to the processor, and it was gutted, and it weighed 318.
Good.
That was gutted.
Yeah.
And now to begin with, we were going to originally tie her up. This was in another state, and we could tie over there then, but like we couldn't. I was like, I don't know what the hell we're going to do with this thing. But that was the biggest one that I, as far as I know by weight, and we caught one with Carter and Ryan and Kevin Brooks and them.
I don't know how big that was.
Dude, this big old blonde bitch, and I don't know how big she was. I'd say she was 300 or more. We didn't weigh her though. I mean, but like she was a toad. Yeah,
and that's just like the only way we'll get. And are those barren sows, or they're just big sows?
No, they're just big sows. Like that one I was talking about, the 318. That was literally, she had piglets in her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not used to that. That's a lot. I don't even. That's insane. I guess that's a lot of people talk about our teeth, but like I've never seen sows that. I mean, and I've hunted all over. I try to stay all over South Texas and like up to North Texas quite a bit. But
what's the longest teeth you've caught? Or I put it this way: what would you say your average for just on your average size teeth for your boar hog all the way across the board?
Average 2 3/4 to 3 inches.
We don't catch but a couple a year that'll push 3 inches.
If they're 3 inches, we don't even take. We leave like for y'all's tournament. I don't think we saved a single hog out of there. Like it was just go throw them in the gut. It's not special to catch one with big teeth. Like 2 3/4 is, I mean, that's normal. It's nothing special.
Anything over 3 inches here is that's trophy. That's definitely honestly, anything over 2.5 is trophy class. But once you get to from 3 to even 4 inches, that's insane. I have caught 2 that were over 4. They were curlbacks. One of them was 5 1/4 on one side and 5 7/8, and both of them were broke off on the tips. And that hog didn't weigh but like 180 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Now I've caught boar hogs that weighed 380 pounds and only had 1.5 inch teeth.
Yeah, we cull those. I tried. It's different. Like, I mean, if that's what's different about it, I mean, it's really hard. Like, I mean, I don't care what anybody says, but down here, it's really hard to get a hog. I mean, everybody says they kill 300-pound hogs all the time. I catch a lot of hogs that are close, but actually weighing, because I mean, I'm sorry, I don't care enough to drag them out of the woods. That's a lot of work. Yeah. That's really hard. And I might as well call the dogs off or something like that. But I mean, I would say if they're over 200, they should have 3-inch teeth at least. Yeah. And then a lot of our biggest teeth is 120 pounds, like a small hog, 120 pounds. Like I think everything over 4 inches I've caught has been 200 pounds or less.
That's crazy.
But I don't catch a lot of cut boars either. That's all boars. I mean, I don't even count the cut boars because you can do so much stuff to them to mess with their teeth and make them grow. Like that's just straight, just boar hogs. Like no one's ever done anything with them. Nothing's happened, and that's not a freak deal. Like we'll catch some with. I mean, I caught one with 7-inch teeth on one side, and that was one side, and then the other side was 3 inches. But it's because he got shot in the face with buckshot and healed up, and it knocked his wetter where it didn't. His nose was broken, so it misaligned. So that tooth just grew. So that's an anomaly. It wasn't just genetics. Like the genetics here is 3 inches.
Wow. Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. It's just, it's so weird how it varies from place to place, because like where I caught the hogs with the biggest teeth, most of those hogs were smaller. Like you're saying, they were like, a couple 100 pounds or less. And the really, really big bodied hogs that I've caught, most of them don't have real, what I'd say, the teeth that fit the bill. That's when we started with the big bore scoring system. That's one reason why we came up with that deal. It's like, okay, so if you've got a 300-pound boar hog and he's got 1.5 inch teeth, is that a better hog than a 260 with 4-inch teeth?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
As an overall trophy, I think the 260 with 4.5 inch teeth is a better trophy. If we were looking at trophy hogs only. And so that's one reason we wound up coming up with that. And I think it kind of levels the playing field on that part, but I don't know. We don't catch barred hogs. I haven't caught one in years. I mean, a lot of years. Used to, we caught them pretty regular because people were still barring them, but we ain't been able to do that since like 2015.
Yeah, we were talking about at that bay competition about, like, we talked to some guys from California, talked to y'all, and it blew my mind, the rules that people have. I mean, that was an eye-opener because I'd never been to a bay pen before, never seen anything like that. I always thought it was cool, like the idea. I was like, I need to go one of these days, but it just wasn't the right time. And when I went to that, it was eye-opening because I was kind of in my own little world, and then you go out there and you see, like, the guys from California is like, oh, we can't stick them. We got to do this. We got to do that. Y'all can't move them. Maybe I just don't look at the laws that we have, or no one's ever told me anything, but I can kind of do whatever I want. See,
that's the way it was.
I can do whatever I want with hogs.
Yeah, it was like that here forever. Like, I had a big pen. I had a training pen. I had a bay pen. I had everything right here in my yard. And then all of a sudden, it went from being able to do that to the next year they changed it to where you couldn't move the hog from the property it was caught on. And that was enough right there to be like, why, And then the next year they were like, okay, you just got to dispatch them as soon as you catch them, no matter what you do. You got to kill all of them. You can't keep a live one. Even if I catch it right here on my property, I had to kill it.
Yeah.
How am I supposed to train pups? I mean, I know how we do it, but at the same time, like, you can't do mock hunts. You can't catch you a pen full of pigs and show your little bulldog. We can't do that shit. We got to we're not supposed to do that. Let me rephrase it. We're not supposed to do that shit. we just take them to the woods. Supposed to.
Yeah, that makes it way harder, but it probably weeds out a lot of the people that
it does.
The counterfeit hog hunters, and then kind of helps you out. I mean,
your dogs
it teaches you
better.
a lot how to hunt.
The dogs actually do become better. I swear that boy can figure out.
I've never used a pen before until last year.
Yeah.
And the pen I'm using, I called it a pen. It's 40 acres.
Yeah.
And I can honestly say the first time my dogs have ever been in a pen was at Rusty's. And that was their first trip to town. And I don't think they quite like that many people, but it was eye-opening. I mean, it's good for them to go haul them and see that kind of stuff. Because I'm just happy they didn't bite anybody, and they did halfway decent. They didn't climb out of the pen.
Yeah. Well, see, but having the hog population, having a better hog population like you guys have compared to what we have, I'm not saying that it would be easier for us to train. Well, it would be. Like, I think it would be easier for us to get our dogs started. Let me put it that way, to start them. But at the same time, I don't know that we would have dogs that would cast a mile either, because like here, a lot of times they're going to have to go 3/4 of a mile, half mile, or we're not going to find anything. And it's not because we're not trying to move them, because we want to put them in the best place possible. But like some of these roads, they just end, and there's just acres and acres and acres and acres with no roads on it. And the dogs can just keep going, and we can't get to them. So they just got to go out and search and find.
Yes, sir. And that's more the stop. Like, and it's different here. 'Cause you go, like, I guess it varies. Like, you go to some places and there's a hog if your dogs go past 100 yards without striking a hog, they're getting out of pocket. But then there's some places, like one of my best places that I hunt, it's 6,000 acres and there's probably 10 hogs in there. now.
Yeah.
Like that's where I've caught a big boar in there, and he was the only one in there, and then like 10 more got in there, and they're on camera, and they're hard to hunt. So you got to go, hit a tank or hit feed, and
Mm-hmm.
I like a cast dog or a more trail style dog, I guess. Like I enjoy going up there and seeing like, hey, they were at this tank sometime in the last 24 hours, and then they went that direction, and then it's not. I enjoy when a dog trails a mile and then they just blow up baying one in their bed, or
Yeah.
they hey, he went that way. There's one really thick block of brush right there. Let's cast him and hunt him in there. But they also need to know, hey, I don't need to just run out of the box or jump out of the box and kick rocks in your face and go a mile, because I want him to hunt a mile, but I want him to actually hunt, not just go. And that was with running dog and my stuff. I had to find the right stuff that wasn't just doing it to run. So you can hunt any way you want to here, but the most effective is there's places with, like, if you want to catch the most hogs, you'll catch 100-pound hogs all day, every day with rough cur dogs. But if you want to catch the really good bull, my favorite thing is finding a track and then a dog trailing him over a mile and then baying him in his bed. Like that's the way I like to hunt, and I like doing that at 1 o'clock in the afternoon or first thing in the morning. But my dogs aren't meant to catch 25 hogs in a day. But if I put them on one, I want them to catch that one hog.
Yeah, that's honestly more along the lines of the style dog that we're striving for as well. But like, I guess it'd be the same style dog, but like it's not necessarily putting it on one track; it's putting it on any track for us. It's like if that son bitch goes a mile and bays a damn 60-pounder, like, well, that's good as long as we got one.
Yeah,
because we just don't have that population. But we don't want a dog that just takes off blowing out of the country either.
Mm-hmm.
We want a dog that, now I don't care if they like we hunted with Rusty. Rusty's dogs, when you cut them loose, they're going to kick rocks at you and they're going to hunt. They're going to blow out fast and hard till they get to the spot to hunt.
Mm-hmm.
Like he could stand here and send them down to a draw that, say it's 800 yards over there. They're going to cover that ground so fast. It's ridiculous. But as soon as they get there, they slow down and they hunt until they get jumped. And that's what I like. Our dogs, they just kind of stay at the same speed. They get out, they leave, and they go to hunting. And if there's something that they like, they hunt a little further and they keep hunting a little further. That's how they go. But they're not going to run past hogs.
Well, do you think that correlates with the dog, the breeding, or how you hunt them? Because like mine and Austin's dogs, like he's probably the only one I know down here that hunts very similar the way I do. And my dogs are better at some things than his, and his dogs are better at like some things than mine. But I would say they're the same quality of dog. But I think if I took his dogs and I raised one out of that, they'd do exactly what I wanted. And I think if he took mine, they'd probably fit in with his pack. I don't know if I can't figure out if it's technically the breeding of the dog and the dog just does that, or if it's the way you work them and you hunt them. Because I guarantee you've done this 100 times, giving somebody a dog and it was a jam up dog for you, and they're like, this dog doesn't hunt, or this dog doesn't do this, because they're getting in its way, or their styles don't align.
Without a doubt. I had that happen last summer. But I will say that I think the breedings have a lot to do with it as well. I think that basically having that foundation and then knowing how to utilize it, because like say you and Austin, y'all's got the very similar stuff. You could take his dogs or something out of his stock and do the same thing. So y'all probably have a similar foundation. Like Roddy's got a dog named Sally, and she throws cast dogs. Anything that comes out of her will cast. It don't really matter what you breed her to. You know what I mean? So it's going to cast. But now, how far does it really want to cast? It's how far you let it. So that depends on you. It also depends on how you want to hunt the dog and how you handle that dog. I feel that has a lot to do with it as well. I think it's a 50-50 on that case, just from what I think.
Yeah, it makes sense, but it bugs me about dogs. Like, I know I'll never know everything, but I go to sleep thinking about it, going like this. Yeah. What can I do? And I've shot myself in the foot a lot of times and got rid of dogs that I shouldn't have and stuff like that. But it's a learning curve. But instead of trying to keep up with somebody else and hunt the way they wanted to hunt. When I started doing it the way I wanted to do it and what I enjoyed feeding, it helps a lot. And that's why I don't really know if it's the breeding of the dog, because I've never really, it's kind of fun. I've never really seen other people's dogs and be like, that dog fits me perfect.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't say my dogs are the best, but my dogs are the best for me, like the way that I want to hunt.
Yeah.
And that's the way I want to hunt. And most of the people I grew up hunting with, I ruined them. They don't want to hunt anymore because they they get mad if their dog goes over 1,000 yards. Like if they jump a hog and they run that hog over 1,000 yards, they get mad because they want them to come back. Like it's preferably 500 yards. They want them to quit at 500 yards and come back so they can go down the road and catch another one. And I don't care if it's a 40-pound pig. If the dogs are running it, I'm happy if they run it 20 miles as long as it's bait at the end.
Yeah, most of the time, ours is I'm not going to say that they won't quit, but it's going to be a while before they do. And when I ran the real rough dogs, even then, I would have, if that hog ran 3 miles, we were having to cover 3 miles as quick as we could possibly get there. Mm-hmm. You know, even those type dogs. But at the same time, I hunted with people just like you're talking about. Like they would have dogs that if they jumped the hog and they got outran at 800 to 1,000 yards, well, the dog quit and came back. And I've had a few dogs that did that when I walk hunted and just went to spots like I had feeders and just dumped out on hot stuff. That's more along the lines of what would happen there. Like they would run it and I'd just get aggravated. I was like, why is this dog quitting? Mm-hmm. You know, and then that's when the whole cast dog and the perfect bay dog for me, that's what I'm looking for, you know. Like you said, I don't think there's very many people that can say they have the dog that's best for them, because it seems like everybody that we talk to, the majority of the people we talk to, they're looking for that dog. So I think you're ahead of it right there.
And I wouldn't say I have exactly like I mean I think there's always room for improvement, but I've never seen somebody's dogs that like I wanted to be a cur dog guy so bad. I think black mouse are just awesome dogs. Like down here, everyone has black mouse, but how people talk about Lacey's or Catahoulas, like I've had better luck with Catahoulas than I have with black mouse. They just, I would say down here, in my opinion, it's 1 out of 100. So how do you ever make a good set?
Yeah. And
I mean, some of them here, it seemed like a lot of them were super, super late starters. Like if you put through them over a Catahoula, it was like they almost always make an above average dog or for what you want, but they were just rough.
Yeah.
But I mean, I got tired of raising puppies and maybe it's just the way that I train or the way I hunt. A cur dog just can't do what I wanted to do or the ones that I had access to.
Yeah. Well, I was the same way. When I tell you, I went through, man, I couldn't tell you how many Catahoulas and blackmouth curs for years, and even in plot hounds, just trying to find something that I really liked, and like you said, stuff that would live up to the hype. I had a couple that were okay, but they were not what I thought they should be. So it was always hard for me. And then these pups that the ones I got from Rusty, those little cur dogs, I think but like I said, it's a proven line. He's had them for a long time. He's bred them up for years and he's really picky on his stuff. So they seem to be what I like so far. Mm-hmm. And they're starting early. That's what I really liked about them. The Catahoulas, everyone that I ever had before would bite you. Like they were mean as shit. And
yes, sir.
They were just rough. And then I don't know, the last ones that we've got, man, they'll stand back and bay and they'll cast and they do pretty good. So we can actually cross some. We've got some blackmouth cur and Catahoula crosses. We'll see how they do. You know, but I was in the same boat. I got so many cur dogs from Texas and I culled every single dog that I ever got from there.
Mm-hmm.
But now keep in mind, they were all full-blooded and I got them as puppies or really, really young dogs until I got these last ones, the ones I've got in the last 2 years, and they seem to be doing good.
Yes, sir. Well, like, yeah, because everybody, there's a bunch of well-known blackmouth guys here, and that's what a lot of people run. But to me, they're awesome if you want to, like, for field dogs.
Yeah.
Like, they're great for field dogs. They run, they catch. You get one that lives and he's pretty smart like that, but they could just never do what I really wanted them to do. But they're good for, like, I guess a lot of people like them here because they're good when you have a lot of hogs. Like, you can bring rough dogs here, and, like, there's a place that I hunt also that there's so many hogs on there that if you brought rough dogs in there, I bet you could catch 25 or 30 hogs in a couple hours.
Wow.
But when I go in there, I catch 3 or 4, but I go find a track and I cut them out. But if I just dump on there, somehow it seems like every single time, if you want to run a bait, if you strike a good hog there and you're running a bunch of them, he's going to dump you on sows and piglets, or you're going to run an 80-pound boar is going to run your wheels off and go through the high fence through a coyote hole 4 miles away.
Damn.
Or something. But if you run rough dogs in there, you can go, like, you wouldn't be able to go more than 200 or 300 yards without catching a hog. But that's not really, so it's like catch 22. I used to be the guy that had 30 head of dogs just for hogs, and I'm like, okay, these are my field dogs, these are this, and then I kind of just gave up. Now I was like, I'm going to make the dogs the way that I want to hunt. I don't need to go catch 20 hogs in a night. It's not that hard. But I maybe I'm just getting older. I don't like hunting at nighttime. I like hunting in the middle of the day.
No, I get it. I do. I got where I like the day. Used to, we hunted exclusively at night for a long time. I mean, we would hunt daytime, but not very often. But for a long time, especially when I hunted by myself, it was always at night. And I've done got to where I was telling Ed Barnes this when we were in Oklahoma. I told him, I was like, Ed, I got to eat some crow. He's like, what do you mean? I was like, man, I said, I don't know if it's just getting old or what. I said, but man, I don't mind listening to a dog bump on a race a little bit. I said, I don't mind if it takes them a couple of hours to get it stopped. I said, I don't mind if I just sit back and listen to him bay it. He just kind of laughed. He said, I thought you liked all the rough stuff. I said, I do, but at the same time, I think I'm just getting old. It's better. I like seeing the dog work.
Yes, sir. Yeah. And on y'all's, talking about like the dogs and hearing one bump a little bit, on y'all's conditions stay pretty consistent? Because, like, I can go, I'll just be honest with you right now. If it rains and I'm in rocks, my dogs are going to annoy the crap out of me. They're going to be wide open. They're going to bump way more than what they think. But we're so dry most of the time. Most of my dogs they trail completely silent and they don't bark unless they're looking at it. And if they're right on its tail and they're not biting it, they're yipping right on its butt, sucking air into them. But if they make a loose, they shut up and they find them again. But if we have moisture, or if I'm hunting in rock country and it's real wet, they're going to be open. But it just, like, I can tell you what they're going to do just based on the weather, and the weather completely changes how much they bark.
I know ours, it doesn't seem to affect them like that.
No, I think our conditions stay good enough.
I think the humidity might have a lot to do with that as well. But, like, okay, so most of ours, if they see it, not all of them, but I'd say probably half of them, they're going to yip a little bit. Mm-hmm. And there's one or two, like, if they can see it, if they're right on his ass, like Louis, he's going to, I don't even know. It's not even a bark. It's weird. Some kind of squeaking.
Like a yip.
Yeah, it's yipping. Sally will do it when it's real hot if she's looking at it. But, like, some of my other dogs, they won't make a sound at all until it's stopped, you know. And then I was gonna say, that running walker, or foxhound, whatever you want to call it, he will bark on the jump. And then, like, but he's not saying nothing at all until it's jumped. And then when he gets it up, depending on how hot it is, the more he'll open. But he's not wide open. I'd say he's more just semi-silent as semi-open, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And that may be what mine are too. I don't really get into all the thing. It's either, I mean, in my opinion, it's
they either bark or don't.
They trail silent. They're either completely silent or they trail silent and then they jump and then they're barking, or they're open. Like I call them open if they bark at all before they at least.
Yeah.
Like I don't care if they've seen the hog one time. I don't care how much they bark, but I like them to keep their mouth shut till they see him.
That's right.
And then, but that's just it doesn't bother me at all. And it is kind of fun when you the first time I tried running coyote dogs, I was trying to do it from scratch and found some bobcat bred running walkers and ran them on them. And I will say, I learned they could run the hell out of a hog, and it was fun listening to it. And they ran to catch. And so when you had 8 or 10 of them on it, it was fun just sitting there listening to it. But it was a little too much sometimes. I felt like I was scaring the neighbor.
Yeah. So
But,
with the run to catch thing, there's been controversy sparked about the phrase run to catch. So in your outlook of it, what does it mean?
I think it means
explain what run to catch means in the scenario that you're talking about. That's what I think is the most important part, is the scenario you're discussing.
And I wouldn't say I know exactly what the meanings are, but I know exactly what they are to me and what I call it and what I want.
Yeah.
And when I'm saying run to catch, I don't want a dog, like a lot of dogs that are a little high strung, they're running for the sake of running. And so they run, they do everything perfect, and that hog stops, and it's just a hog that sits there, or a hog squats, and they run right by it. They see it, they find it, they bark once or twice, and they're like, all right, this is bored, ADD, there's a squirrel over there, let's go get something else.
Yes.
And I can't stand that. And then, so that's definitely not run to catch. And as far as lightly, I would say it's at least staying there and bang. But for what I want, if a dog sees a hog and the hog's running, I want them to stop them or do their best. I don't want them to go straight catch it. If they want to, I like a little self-preservation in a dog, because I don't want to invest 3 years in a dog and him be a once-in-a-lifetime dog and then him get cut because he's tougher than he has brains. Like, self-preservation, like, I enjoy dogs that work the tail end. Like, every time in my country that you have a dog that swings wide or gets out in front of them to stop them, they get a rib broken, they get gutted. Yeah. Almost every single time. And they learn not to do it. And so you go do it with these young dogs and you get them knocked back, and then you have a super loose bay dog because every time they've seen a big hog, they tried to stop them in the front, and they got rolled, and there's so much stuff in front of them that hog knows he's going to run right through them and hit them up against something, and then they're balled up for 15 seconds. Mm-hmm. So I prefer my dogs running to catch I want them to put teeth on them and stop them from the rear end and get them to spin. Like, I want them to go latch onto the nuts, the tail, the hind leg, and as soon as that hog, put the weight on him, in a perfect scenario, they bite that hog, his ass hits the ground, he spins around to fight, and they back up 5 foot and dead.
There you go.
And if they really want to run, if they run over a mile, you catch that hog and you can't tell if it's a boar or a sow because everything's gone.
Yes, sir. Now, how long have you heard that phrase used?
Run to catch?
Yeah. Your whole life?
Pretty much. I've been lucky enough to be around some I was raised around men when men still made men, and it was hardcore. I know we've talked about boot camp before. He's not afraid to tell you if your dogs suck, or he'll say you need to shoot every single one of these and start over again, like they suck.
And Mr. Boo, that's what he uses, that term too, that phrase too, don't he? Run to catch.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And it's kind of funny because he likes to, but I think he's 94, 95 years old, and he still out hunts me. But it seems like in a lot of down here, there's so many bobcat hunters that a lot of stuff has had run and walker into it. Mm-hmm. And even some of our cur dogs, some of your better strike dogs, like the dogs that actually hunt cur dogs, they yip and then they bay back way too far, and they'll walk a hog all day in the thick brush and stuff. And so when you get a chance, that's why I like the smaller dogs, the little waspy dogs, so much more, because in that tight brush, they almost work like a jag. Like, I don't want them to go up there and catch them, but they can put teeth on them and almost annoy them to where what you give them an inch, they're gonna, if they stop one time, and their brush isn't super, super thick, or it's not cactus, they can get up there and they can keep them from getting running again. Because once they get running, they're really hard to stop.
Yeah.
But I mean, I honestly don't know where I heard it from or how long I've heard it. I just know that's the style of dog that I've always been told I needed. And that was a big thing, is like, no, they're playing, they're running. They're not hunting to serve a purpose. They're just almost like fox pen style dogs. They're not running to kill what they're looking at. Like, we're here for, in my area, it varies from place to place, but we're here for eradication. Like, if I leave a hog alive, they don't care if I take it off their place or what I do with it. As long as I don't leave it on their place, they don't care. And so it's eradication. They need to be able to catch hogs, not run them.
Yes. Yeah, I get it. Yep. And that, like I said, that's just one of the things where and I'm kind of doing a poll, I guess you would say, for the next few weeks, on the whole deal about the phrase run to catch and what it means to that individual that I'm talking to, and where they heard it and how long they've been hearing it. Because I've got like articles I've read from the late 1800s all the way like 1915 to 1920 in the Hunter Trapper Trader magazines and books. And they talked about run to catch hounds. So the thing about it is there's a couple of people that were saying that, okay, well, people who run bay dogs are using this phrase wrong, because they think we're talking that the population is talking about running catch dogs. And that's not what it is. That's something totally different. The phrase run to catch, it didn't come out of hog dog. It's not even from the hog dog world originally. It's from field trial, fox pens. That's what it's from. And then it moved on into, bobcats and lions and bears. And to me, for what it means here in the United States of America, to houndsmen that have been doing this for hundreds of years, it means to run and corner and to stop or to stop their quarry or their game. Basically put it in a catchment. Not just bark at it or just run to run. Like you said, there are dogs that will legitimately, they will run to it, bark, and then leave and go run something else.
Yes,
That's
sir.
not run to catch. That's a hell of a running dog, though. And so that I wanted to give you the backstory of why I was asking that question as well. And I didn't want to ask it to you and give you the explanation of why. I wanted to ask you and then explain why.
Yes, sir. No, and that makes sense. And I mean, that's interesting. And like I said, I couldn't even tell you where I've heard it. I've just been around my whole life, or that's what it was. And I don't know if it's, I feel like a lot of people here that I've grown around hunting, like Boo, I don't know if anybody ever told him. I think it's more when you see a dog man go and do stuff, like they pick out the things. Like I'm not going to call myself a dog man. I like dogs, but I've been privileged enough to be around some, and they know what they like in a dog, and it seems like they could pick it out.
Yeah.
And like, you can almost tell with like how a dog looks, like at the bait. Like, it's funny. Like, it seems like the ones that don't run to catch, they sit in the box and they're kind of just happy to be around, or they're running and playing. And the dog that's ready to do business, he's sitting there and he's looking. They're almost like a sight hound, and like they got a different level of intensity.
That's right.
And it's. I feel like some people just know what it is, and that's because they correlate it with how they've caught hogs. Like I would assume like somebody had to make it up one day, I guess.
Yeah. Well, like I said, and it's one of those deals where I'm not doing it to be like, you're right, I'm right, you're wrong, you're wrong. It's not about that. It's like, I want to give out correct information. If I'm using a phrase, I want to make sure that I'm on the right page, because if I am wrong, I'm going to say, well, I was wrong on that, and, go from there. But at the same time, it's like, I can't say this other person is right, because he was like, well, it's in an article he found from 1955. And then there's another guy in Europe that said it. We're not in Europe. And if only one article is all that there is, then you got to debunk the whole myth on his part. On my part, it's like, we're in the U.S. and we're using the phrase here for what we do. and what we've been doing for many, many years. And if you've got enough people that are in their 70s, 80s, and 90s, and every one of them have consistently used it all of their life, and that's how they were taught that's what it is to me. I'm sorry. And also a lot of things are you can use a word 20 different ways in 20 different places, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And you also, that like in South Texas, when you go to the grocery store and they put your groceries in a paper sack, what do you call it? Do you call it a sack or a bag or a grocery bag or what?
I just call it a bag.
A bag. Okay. Well, in Appalachia, all the way up until just the last 20 years, it was called a poke. And I still know people today that call it a poke. And if I came to South Texas and said, hey, give me a poke of candy, you would have no fucking idea what I'm saying.
Yeah, you're either getting drugs or you're trying to be dirty. I don't know which one it is.
See, my point is that there's 20, I don't know, there's a fucking thousands and thousands of people that is their lingo. And that's how they say things. And you can't say that it's wrong because you use it a different way.
Yeah, I feel like run to catch is more of a relative phrase. It depends on where you're at, where you're from, and what you are. Yes. And it is what you make it. Like you can say that it can be something different to so many different people, but I guess you're trying to make a consensus where you're deciding like, hey, this is how it actually is. Because I mean, I think it's cool that you're doing it. And I never really thought that much into it because if you say my dog's run to catch and you want him to catch like a pit bull, more power to you. I really don't care what you call what you say. You could have the best rough dogs in the world, and I don't want to own them. So it's kind of the same thing with the phrase. It's hard to.
Yeah, but see, to me, like
it's hard to.
If I said that to you, if I said, yeah, I got 5 pit bulls that run to catch, what are you gonna? You're gonna be like, well, those are running catch dogs. Or they're catch dogs. You know what I mean? Now, if I said I have 5 foxhounds that run to catch, you're going to automatically know what kind of dog I'm talking about.
Yes, sir.
And people that have been doing this a long time, they're automatically going to know. Like they legitimately they understand what that means. And and like I said, and I'm not saying this other gentleman doesn't know what he's talking about either, because he has his thought and his outlook on it. And me and him, we're going to do a podcast and we're going to discuss this whole thing. And that's what he told me. He said, I can prove this and I can prove what it means. I said, hey, I'm 100% in. Count me in. I said, because I do not want, first off, I'm not going to argue. It's all going to be facts. And if I'm wrong, then I'm going to be like, hey, dude, you got me. Ta-da, whatever. That doesn't mean that I'm not going to say
catch dogs or dogs in general.
See, that's the difference. He's talking catch dogs.
I see. And I don't, I mean, if you told me catch dogs run to catch, I'd be like, I don't really.
Yeah, that's what they're supposed to do.
They either catch or they don't. Yeah. I mean, they can walk in and go like that, but a catch dog is a catch dog. Like it's pretty self-explanatory. A catch dog catches. Runs to catch, like, well, I don't see how you use that phrase when it comes to catch dogs, because it doesn't really give you any more explanations than what they are. Like they either are or they aren't. Mm-hmm. But there is 100 different ways for a run and walk or a cur dog. They can run, they can bay, they can do this, but running to catch gives you a little bit more, what's the word for it? It just a little bit more description of what that style of dog, like picture you're trying to give a dog away, or you're trying to sell him and say this dog runs to catch, but he needs a little bit more work, or he runs to catch, but he lacks bottom a little bit, or he doesn't have this. You say catch dog runs to catch. Well, that really doesn't tell you anything more, because catch is what he is. He's not supposed to do anything else. That's what he is, what he does. There's no more words to describe this dog unless it's physical features or the process of how he does it.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's what I said. And like, I really want to go through this because I feel like we're lacking in a lot of ways. And this guy feels the same way. He and I, we feel the same exact way, but we might have two different perspectives on some stuff, but we have the general consensus is like the misinformation or the way things are said. Because like, if I can say, okay, and show him that through my research and what I've come up with, and if it shows the facts and that it's correct, then maybe he will understand to say, okay, well, I've been using it the wrong way, you know. And then again, he might not. He might say, hey, piss on y'all. I'm going to use it the way I want to, and y'all are wrong. And you know how that goes. Things happen, and it don't matter. But at the same time, it's like, I will not be accused of spreading misinformation, because the only thing I can do is give you the facts of what I know. If somebody tells me something wrong and I repeat it, well, I gave you misinformation by proxy. Like, I wasn't trying to. It's because I was given misinformation, and I don't want to do that. You know,
that's interesting. I'll listen to it and hear it's there's a lot of information there, and I'm curious to see the other guys' view on it and what the proof is, just because I don't see it that way at all. But no one cares what I think. I mean, I'm wrong all the time, and I'm not going to change the way I'm doing things just because I like the way that I do them. So I have no problem admitting that I'm wrong, but I'm going to tell you I'm going to do it my way anyways.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm the same thing here, but exactly what you just said. Even if it's wrong, I'm going to be like, well, that's the only way I know to say it. So if I have to explain this dog to somebody that understands the same thing that I'm doing it, we're just going to be wrong together. That's all I can tell you, you know? So if I say, Case, this dog, blah, 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 like you said, he runs the catch. Well, then, you know, when we cut that dog loose, that he is running to stop that animal, not necessarily catch him by the throat and hold the motherfucker down and kill him. That's not what we're talking about, that part, you know, but by catching it, by stopping it, you know.
Sam, would you, if you were describing a dog that runs, so say a hog's run, say you're in an open field and you dump a dog out and the hog's running across the field, if that dog, you would say it's run to catch if that dog runs and swings and gets right in front of that hog and bays at him, doesn't lay teeth on him at all. It would be, that would still be running to catch, or that wouldn't?
Yeah, if he stops it. If I'm not if it's not a catch dog.
Yeah. And that's the thing too.
Yeah. If he's, personally myself, like, if it's in a wide open field and I'm showing the dog, if I show the hog to the dog, then I ain't doing much dog work anyway. You know,
so as long as the dog stops it, that's what you would consider run to catch. As long as he stops it.
If he stops it and bays it, holds it at bay. Yeah. If the hog tries to move, he's gonna grab his ass, turn him around, sit him down, and make him take a bay. You know, if it's in a race, he's never going. I don't want him to walk bay it. That's not acceptable. I'm not going to do no walk baying shit. So if a dog is walking a hog and he's baying him, he's not running to catch. You know, if he's ran it, and that's what I think this terminology or this phrase has been used more in the fact of, in the actual pursuit of the game that it's running. You know, it's like, once you put it out and you've struck the track and you got the game up on its feet and you're running it. And all that dog is trying to do the entire time is to stop it. He's trying to stop it. That's the run. That's run to catch to me. You know, he has to get it stopped. If he's running it and he runs it for 35 miles and it starts walking or slows down and he's not putting teeth on it to put the brakes on it and make it stop, he's just running.
Yes, sir. No, and that's what I look for, and I agree with that completely. It's just that makes a lot more, like, as long as it's not really the process, it's more of a, as long as they get them to stop, because that's all I care about. And running the catches too. Like, I want to be like, if they come up, if I want to kill that animal, I want to be able to kill it. I'm not going to count as catching a hog unless I go up there and I touch him or I call the dog off. But as long as they stop him, because there's a lot of dogs that I guess people say run to catch, and they don't. They only try to do it one way, and they try to get out in front of them. and that hog bluffs them, and they just end up like, I mean, I went through a lot of dogs like it. A lot of my first dogs would run right beside, they'd get bluffed one time and they'd run right beside them barking in an open field. And you're like, man, just put teeth on them one time. And I wouldn't call them run to catch dogs.
No.
Because they weren't stopping them.
No,
they
they're just bay dogs.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
And for a long time, that's what I used to tell people. Were like, well, do you run rough bay dogs? I was like, that's just a bay dog. Mm-hmm. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, what? Because like you said, every location is different. And I've noticed that even in the same state, there can be 4 or 5 different regions of hog hunters. And those hog hunters have their own terminology per se, you know? Mm-hmm. And so if you got a dog that's over here and you turn him loose and he's walking it, well, to me, like I said, I don't have a use for that type of dog. He's just a bay dog. He's a loose bay dog is what I would say. He's a loose bay dog. If I got a dog that's putting teeth on him, spinning him, like you said, you can't tell whether it's a damn boar or sow. And that hog ran for 3 or 4 or 5 miles. Well, I know that dog was doing everything he could to stop that hog. And when he stopped him, he bayed him. To me, that's a good bay dog. And he runs the catch.
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily say it's a rough bay dog, because to me, I think a good bay dog in the application that I use, I think a good bay dog is going to have to be a little rough at times, but it knows when to be rough.
Yeah, if that makes sense. It's hard with dogs because there's so many. I mean, I would say, like, if you categorize everything, in my opinion, it'd be like there's catch dogs, there's running catch dogs, and then there's dogs that think they're catch dogs, but they have more catch, but not enough. They're kind of counterfeit. Like,
they're chicken shit catch dogs.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people say. Oh, they're rough bay dogs, and you got to run 5 of them to catch a hog. To me, a running catch dog is going to catch whether he's by himself or with 10 other dogs. He's going to catch. A catch dog is going to catch. And like a bay dog is going to bay, but you can have, if you run a bay dog that bays at 10 foot and you run one that, I mean, there's just so many people out there that, and I feel like there's more dogs like that. Like a lot of the cur dogs here, that's what they are. They'll catch, and when it gets tough, they'll let go.
Yes. I do agree on that. And
like, if you're going to catch the ear, you better hold. Like, I mean,
that's right.
The running walker, the dogs I'm running now, their dad, he was a straight bay dog. And I probably, after seeing him bay and what I saw in the woods, I wish I would have taken to a pen, because, I mean, he was truly a once-in-a-lifetime dog. But if you bluffed him one time and you came and charged him and he didn't have anywhere to go, when he caught like a pit bull, and he was not letting go. And that's ended up what killed him, is because a big boar charged him. And when he caught, he's the only dog I've ever seen. If he grabbed it by the ear, he was not letting go, and he was a 45-pound running walker cross.
Damn.
But he was a bay dog. But if he caught, he was going not to let go. Like, he'd be getting drugged. He caught like a catch dog. It was something different than I've ever seen, and it gave me a whole new appreciation for, like, that's what I'm striving for. And so I have dogs that are exactly what I want, but I would say all mine right now are 8 out of 10 on what exactly I want. They're the style that I want, but he's the dog that I want.
Yeah.
And he was not a counterfeit bay dog. If he caught, he was going to catch it. And there's a lot of dogs out there including the ones I have now, those Lacey's, they're not catch dogs. They're bay dogs. They're just super, I don't even know how you call them. They're going to annoy the hog so much that he doesn't want to run, because he can't, because he's going to be sore all over, because there's going to be little teeth marks everywhere, but they're not catch dogs.
I've heard the term being called waspy. Like, the dog's baby waspy. They go in and, like, sting his ass, basically.
That's what Case was calling them earlier, waspy. Yeah. Every time I think about that, I used to call them little jags. I was like, they're like bumblebee or the yellow jackets, or guinea wasp. They just jump all around, and the poor old hog didn't know whether to shit or go blind.
Yeah, I don't think.
What's that old saying? Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee.
That's right.
That's what they are, and I wouldn't say they're great at anything except that. They're very good at that.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. I mean, you catch hogs with them, and you catch a lot of hogs. That's the thing. But and speaking of catching hogs, I know you guys are hunting the Tulsa Stander hunt, and which this won't come out till after all that's over with. We wish y'all luck, and maybe y'all put it on them.
We're gonna try. Yeah, and I mean I'll do any. I'm not gonna lie, it's a long drive, but
Yeah.
we're definitely gonna try and make it work and see what we can do. And I mean, I just respect people for on a contest where they get nothing out of it and it's for a good cause. So
Yep.
that's why I put mine on, and that's why I do y'all's. And I don't own dogs to do contests, but it's nice when there's so many people that give hog dogs and hog hunting a bad name. It's nice when I'm dang sure going to do my best to support when somebody tries to give it a good name and promote it in the right way where we can keep this going a lot longer. Because for a while it was looking like it wasn't going to be around very long, just because I feel like it was being done wrong, at least in my area. It was being done the wrong way by the wrong people for a little bit too long.
Yeah, and it can be. Well, like I was saying a while ago, Case, we could keep and do whatever we wanted to. Basically, it's the Wild West. And then within 2 years' time, it changed to where we could even have a hog. So they can take it from you. And I mean, there's other places that I know that they've made it completely illegal to hog hunt, period. Whether it's dogs or guns or whatever, like you can't do it. I know Mississippi had some issues in there. They had some people they had still hunters that were suing some dog hunters and calling it a nuisance during deer season, and that it actually went to the Mississippi Supreme Court, and they found it to be a nuisance. So, I mean, I know we're beating a dead horse, it seems like, but like dog hunters, they have to stick together. No, even if we disagree on things,
Mm-hmm.
and even if we don't see eye to eye on things or whatever, if we're all hunting, hunters in general, we just need to try to unite and do the best that we can do and put on these events and do it in a positive manner. And, that's what we try to do. And that's what I was saying a while ago about the gentleman who disagrees with the phrase and the way it's used. Well, I'm not going to be like, well, I don't believe that, blah, 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 because I think everybody should, like we can all get along. We can all talk. He runs dogs as well. And we can agree to disagree, or we might come to a middle ground, and and everybody might get educated.
Yep.
It's way better
Yes,
than
sir.
arguing and fighting amongst ourselves.
We're all on the same team.
And we appreciate y'all, signing up to do these hunts and stuff, because like you guys live, how far are y'all from the place to weigh in? 16, 17 hours?
Honestly, I haven't looked yet.
You should probably be around 16 to 17 hours, I would think. And even at that rate, because from here to San Antonio, from my house to San Antonio is 14 hours, I think.
Yeah, that's probably what it is. Because
Yeah.
I mean, it depends where we're hunting at. Like I went and looked at a ranch. I think I sent a picture of the gate down there that Nate. I was 15, 20 minutes from Mexico.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's kind of funny. There's spikes. You go by all these gates, and there's spike strips laying by the deal, and so that they can stop people when they're running through ranches.
That's insane.
They just leave them by the gate so they can pull them out.
Holy
They don't even
shit.
pick them up anymore.
Yeah, that's
Damn dogs be trashing on illegals. That's rough.
Oh, it's definitely different. I mean, I've never hunted another country, but I've had dogs go to Mexico before. I haven't hunted it, but they have.
Yeah. Well,
But
10-4, brother.
And I do have one question
Yeah.
for you though about bulldogs. We were talking about bulldogs or pit bull terrier. Like I call bulldog everything.
Yeah.
I'm horrible terminology,
No,
but
it's fine. Yeah.
that's my lingo down here. But I have some like running pit bulls. So running pit bulls at what age? Like a lot of people down here, I mean, we go do them like we use catch dogs, and then it seems like how do you keep them from losing their teeth? Or because I'm trying to. The vets have gotten so good, you can keep them alive so much longer, and you can take care of them, and they end up being everybody's pet and this and that. But like if you start them from a puppy, like when should their teeth be set, and how do you keep them
When they
from breaking their teeth off? And how do you? That's the main thing is their teeth.
okay.
'Cause
With as far as like when they're, people call it like having their teeth set. When they lose
Mhm.
their puppy teeth and their adult teeth come in, I mean, they're there. They shouldn't be any issues unless when they're puppies and right before they start losing them puppy teeth, if you injure the socket, which that can happen by letting them bite on something and snatching real hard, or if a puppy's biting something and falls off and its tooth is hung in it, a multitude of things like that. And all dogs are different on the age. And everybody's going to be different on it. I know there's guys out there that know way more than I do because they've had 4 bulldogs in their life or 12. We always waited till all the puppy teeth were gone and their canines were in and they were fully intact before we even messed with them. When they were little puppies, 4, 5, 6 months old, a Kong toy, a little pull rope, anything like that, you can let them chew on it while they're teething. And that, that just let them work out like that. Don't do anything rough and strenuous on them. Just because a 10-year-old kid can fight at 10 years old does not mean that he should fight Mike Tyson.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of guys that have an 8 or 10-month-old bulldog pup, and the pup is hot and he wants to hit something and they let him. Now, I'm not saying that that's going to damage their teeth or anything like that, or their jaw sets or the set on their teeth. But if their permanent teeth aren't all the way in and aren't fully set, all that snatching back and forth, that could potentially damage that socket, where later on you might not notice it right off the bat. But later on, at age 2, 3, 4, those canines pull. They get loose and work out. And I've had people that are like, man, my dog's lost 3 canines. And it's because, now there could also be a deficiency of some kind. There's always that. First off, you got to make sure your dog's healthy. But even at that rate, I don't know why people think that you need to let them work their teeth. Let them work their jaw muscles. They're going to teeth. Give them a chew toy. That's fine. Mm-hmm. But like I said, until they get those adult teeth in and set, I would not put them on a hog, whether they want to do it or not. That.
See, and
Go ahead.
I have a pit bull right now that I raised from a puppy, and he's 10 months old, and he just saw his first hog, like a 60-pound sow.
Yeah.
And he did fine with it, but it's more, he wanted to do it and he was kind of getting annoying. Yeah. And I feel like he needed to learn a job a little bit.
Yeah.
So I was like, let him go do that. Let him figure it out.
Does he have his adult teeth in?
Yeah. He looks like a full grown dog.
Well, he's as long as his teeth are in and they're fully developed, then it shouldn't be any issue. What I'm talking about is, like, say he's 8 or 10 months old and his canines are still really blunt and they're not very long. Say they're only sticking up 1/2 inch. Well, they're not fully grown yet. And so therefore, as the tooth grows up, it's wider at the bottom. And so the bottom of the socket, of course, has to be wider. Well, as it grows up, it gets narrower. So at one point in time, the narrow part of the tooth was lower. And if you were wiggling it, that loosened that socket. Mm-hmm. And as it grows up, it's constantly going to be wiggling from now on. It might just be just the slightest little bitty bit, but over time, it's just like a main bearing in a truck or a car. Thermal viscosity, it's a real thing. That little bitty tiny wear and tear, if it's not properly lubricated, it turns into engine failure. Well, a catch dog with no teeth, it's pretty much fucking failure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I had one and he was doing real good. And I got him. Like he was a pet, and he lost all, he was a pet. So I don't think he caught anything.
Yeah.
But when I started him at 2.5 years old, and within 6 months he had no, it wasn't, one of them broke off, but all the other 3 were complete. I had the canine sitting there, they completely pulled out.
Yep.
And he wasn't catching big hogs by himself. They just all pulled out. And so this younger dog, I let him put it on one just real quick, but I don't think he's mentally where I want him to be to start catching. I don't think I need to throw them to go put them on. Like, I'm not using them for any of these contests. I'm probably, honestly, it'll probably be 15, 18 months before I start using, like, now that he catches a little bit, I'm going to work on handle with small hogs and stuff like that, because I don't like leads. I can't stand having leads.
Yeah.
So now I have somewhere to start, but I just wanted to make sure I wasn't shooting myself in the foot, because I mean, I hate having a retired bulldog at 3 years old.
Yep.
And I don't want to put him down. He did his job. He just doesn't have the teeth for it. So what do you do with him? Like, I think I found him a home to go be a pet somewhere else, because he has a good mind and a good head on him. But I mean, it sucks putting all that work into him, and then they don't have any teeth. And everyone just says, just go catch, just go do it, go get one from the pound. And I'm not happy with missing half the hogs that we go. And I would say right now we're missing half. I would say when I go, if I walk a bay dog or a catch dog in, I'm missing half of them. But they're also very, very hard.
Yeah, I mean, you're in a bad spot with a lot of them. But I mean,
like, look at what Tulsa is and picture that 20 yards wide and 10 foot tall.
Damn.
And the hog's in the middle of it.
That ain't worth the shit there.
But when you get a good one, I want to be able to keep his teeth and make it where they work.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, sir, there's not a lot of people down here that I would say know anything about. It's just everyone thinks they know anything about it, but you ask them why it's happened, they're like, oh, you didn't say it, like you said, you didn't work their jaw enough, or you didn't do this. I'm like, well, I didn't think I had to work out my dog's mouth and give him stuff to chew on to make him not lose his teeth.
Bro, I had a 9-week-old pit bull bite me, and it was actually an accident, and it literally, it was harder than most adult cur dogs. No, it would. No, I take it back. I think that dog was like 12 or 14 weeks old. Is that little black female I got from Timothy? And I'm telling you, dude, like, it was the hardest bite. I was like, why would you ever need to work out their jaws?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, that doesn't make any sense. Like, them dudes, and not just that, like, I mean, and I'm not saying I know everything, because I don't. I do not. I've just been around it a lot, and all I can do is pass on the information that's been passed on to me, and I can pass on information that I know to be true, that's held true to me and what I've done in the past couple of decades. And I don't know that holds much weight with some people, but you know, that's all I can do.
Yes, sir.
So.
No, I agree. Knowledge is a good thing to have, and all you gotta do is look for it. And I spoke to you at the Bay Pen. I feel like you kind of you're listening to learn something every time you talk to somebody or do something. You can tell you like to collect knowledge. So that's why I wanted to ask about the bulldogs. There's a big difference in somebody that thinks they know what they're doing and somebody that's learned, whether it be from somebody else or just, you can learn a lot from listening.
Yep, I agree. And I've got a good memory recall on things. And so, like, there's a lot of times where I've talked to somebody and basically I can just replay it over in my mind. And it's not even me talking. I'm basically just reciting what they told me, you know, even though it was 25 years ago. And I've been around some real dog men in this world in my life. And I've been really, really blessed to be around them. Like I said, I've got some family members that are, sure enough, my uncle's one of the top dog men that I've ever been around. And he was strictly into just game dogs stuff. And, he taught me a lot about that. My grandfather, my father, that's pretty much all we ever done. My whole life was just the game dogs. And, you know, which I've been into hunting dogs for quite a lot of years now. But before that, it was strictly just game dogs. And that's how I kind of filtered over into the hog hunting part of it, because I needed a job to do with my bulldogs. And that was the closest thing I could do to keep them busy.
Yes, sir.
So, but no, I try to learn. I try to.
Well, you're a wealth of knowledge. Yeah. I mean, I learned a lot already. I appreciate it.
Ain't no problem at all, man. We appreciate you taking time out of your schedule there to talk to us today. Like I said, I know you guys are working your ass off. Y'all been up all night running hogs and been up all day running, and this weather is terrible. I know it's worse where you guys are at. So, you know, we wish y'all luck.
Yes,
y'all make sure to stay safe. And and we'll be seeing y'all pretty soon.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you all.
All right, Case, if we can do anything, buddy, you just let me know.
Yes, sir. You have a good
All
one.
right, thanks, amigo.
Thank you, Case.
Yes, sir. I'll see you, Nick. All right. Bye.
All righty. Well, there we go. That's another one in the books, folks. That's a good dude right there.
Oh yeah.
He's a sandbagger too, because like his dogs are they show enough. Like he got a handle, crazy handle on them. And they work really, really good. But he's brutally honest on a lot of things. I kind of laugh a little bit. Like he called me out on a couple of things, and I love it. I absolutely love it. So we had a great time when we got to meet him out there, and we've been talking about doing an episode with him for a while. And since him and Austin they're hunting together, we just done one with Austin not long ago. We just figured we knock them all out, get it on there, and let y'all share with you guys the people that we get to know, and how great it is to know all of them. And so if y'all have somebody you would like to hear us interview or to talk to, or somebody that you know would like to be a guest, contact myself or Nate, and we'll see if we can't get it lined up and all that good job.
Amen.
And make sure to pay attention to all our sponsors. And if y'all need those type products or whatever, do it because I said so. Y'all go get stuff from our sponsors. Hook us up. Now, come on now, y'all. Let's do it. Let's do it good. And also, we got our Patreon account up.
It'll be linked down below in the description.
Got a link down below in the description. Nate's starting to get some videos put up there. It's still kind of a learning process with us, but we've been posting some more stuff like we couldn't really post on YouTube and on social media and stuff. Some of it's a little more.
It's more raw footage.
Yeah, more raw footage. And a lot of it's more personal stuff, too.
You don't have to dress it up.
No, not near as much. You ain't got to black and white it. You ain't got to bleep out all the...
Well, we just got monetized on YouTube, so I really don't want to
we can't do anything like that.
It's just too easy.
We probably made about $20, $$15, and we're doing pretty good. And I'm very, very, very thankful for it, and super grateful that we have an audience out there in this world like you guys. And to all my friends on the other side of the big pond, I want to say hello. Thanks for interacting with us. Thanks for messaging us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all that stuff like that. I really, really enjoy having the conversations with you guys from the UK, from Australia, from South Wales, from all these other places. And listen, I know there's a time difference. I don't give a fuck if it's 3:00 in the morning. Hit me up. If I'm asleep, I'll get back to you when you're asleep, and we'll just play tag like that. But y'all keep it up, fellas. We appreciate y'all. Until the next one, we gone.
Thank you. Hope you enjoyed that episode. If there's anything or anyone you'd like to hear on the podcast, or if you'd like to come hunt with us, don't hesitate to contact us at dixiedoggers01@gmail.com.